He told me he needed time alone to detox from work. He said he was going camping for a week, no phone, no people, no distractions. I believed him, until my friend sent me a Facebook post that made my stomach drop. There he was, smiling under the Caribbean sun, arms around his secretary. A romantic getaway, in Punta Cana. This is the story of how I made sure my husband's little, work detox, became the biggest mistake of his life. If you've ever been lied to by someone you trusted with your whole heart, you know the rage that burns inside you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because this revenge is cold, calculated, and so satisfying. When my husband Mark told me he needed a week alone to clear his head, I didn't question it. We'd been married for 11 years, and I thought we trusted each other completely. He said work had been exhausting, the constant demands from his high-pressure sales job were grinding him down. I encouraged him to go. Told him it would be good for him to disconnect, to breathe, to find some peace in nature. He even packed his old camping gear. I remember watching him load his tent, sleeping bag, and fishing rod into the trunk, and thinking, he really needs this. He kissed me goodbye, told me he'd call when he could, but that cell reception would be spotty. And then he drove off. The first few days were uneventful. No calls, no texts, but I figured he was just off the grid. I busied myself with work, met friends for coffee, and tried not to check my phone every 5 minutes. Then, on the 4th day, I got a message from my friend Lisa. Hey, you might want to see this. She sent me a screenshot from Facebook. It was a public post from none other than Julia, my husband's secretary. There they were, standing on a pristine beach in Punta Cana. She was in a bright red bikini, he had his arms around her waist, both of them grinning like they were posing for a travel magazine. The caption read, "Paradise with my favorite person." My hands started shaking. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, my vision blurring with tears. My brain refused to believe it at first. There had to be some explanation, right? But then I saw the other photos, them sipping cocktails at sunset, laughing over dinner, lounging in a hammock together. It was undeniable. I felt sick. Not just because he was cheating, but because he had looked me in the eyes, lied, and made me feel like I was supporting his mental health trip. The humiliation burned almost as much as the betrayal. For a few hours, I was frozen. I kept replaying every conversation, every kiss, every smile we'd shared in the past few months. Was it all fake? Did he ever love me, or was I just a placeholder until something better came along? By that evening, my sadness had hardened into something else. Anger. White-hot, shaking fury. But underneath that anger was a cold, calculating thought: if he wants to play games, I'm going to make sure he loses. The first thing I did was quietly gather information. I went through our shared financial records, and sure enough, there was a large charge for Coral Dreams Resort in the Dominican Republic. Paid from our joint account. That was my money too. Then I pulled up our marriage certificate, our prenup, and every document related to our house, our cars, and his retirement accounts. The prenup had a very clear infidelity clause: if either party cheated, the other got the lion's share of assets. He had signed it without a second thought before we married, because he'd claimed he could never betray me. I knew exactly what I had to do. While he was still sipping rum under the sun with Julia, I contacted a divorce lawyer. I sent her the Facebook photos, the bank statement, and copies of our prenup. She told me this was an airtight case. In fact, she suggested we move quickly. If we filed while he was still abroad, he wouldn't have time to move or hide assets. So that's exactly what we did. By the time Mark came home, sunburned and carrying a Punta Cana souvenir mug, the papers were ready and waiting. I will never forget the moment he walked through the door. I was sitting at the kitchen table with the documents spread out neatly in front of me. "Hey, babe," he said, his voice dripping with fake cheer. Camping was. I slid the photos across the table. He froze mid-sentence. The color drained from his face. I can explain," he stammered. "You don't need to," I said, my voice calm but icy. "The lawyer already explained it for you." I pushed the divorce papers toward him. He sputtered something about it, not meaning anything, about making a mistake, but I didn't care. The trust was gone, and I was done. Over the next few weeks, the reality hit him hard. Because of the prenup and the evidence of infidelity, I walked away with the house, the better car, and a substantial portion of his savings. He, on the other hand, had to move into a dingy one-bedroom apartment and sell his fancy watch collection to cover legal fees. As for Julia, From what I heard, their romance didn't last more than a month. Apparently, she wasn't too thrilled about dating a man who was suddenly broke and bitter. The best part, I didn't have to raise my voice or make a scene. I let his own actions destroy him, piece by piece. The last time I saw him was in the courthouse hallway after our final hearing. He looked exhausted, like the life had been sucked out of him. I walked past him without a word, heels clicking on the marble floor, my head held high. It wasn't just about taking his money or winning the divorce, it was about reclaiming my self-respect. And in that moment, I knew I'd done exactly that. Betrayal has a way of making you feel powerless, like you're drowning in someone else's lies. But the truth is, you have more control than you think. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge isn't yelling or fighting, it's letting the truth do the work for you. If this story made you want to stand up and cheer, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? And of course, subscribe for more stories of karma served ice cold.